Hey, it is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you grow and develop your real estate business. This week, we're talking about how to build and manage your pipeline, because your business really revolves around your pipeline. We're going to talk more about that. If you're thinking about starting or enhancing your career in real estate, give us a call at the Tampa School of Real Estate, 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Also, check us out online at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's tampaschoolofrealestate.com. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. My name is John Chrismo, and again, we do this every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, to help you mastermind, grow, and jumpstart your real estate business. So today, we're talking about the pipeline. So before we could really kind of talk about maximizing this pipeline thing, we got to talk about really what the pipeline is and how it's necessary for your business. So the pipeline, basically, if you can imagine your business basically is kind of like some sort of funnel. You've probably heard of the analogies with sales funnels before. You have your clients that you maybe show them some houses, and maybe some of them fall off here and there, but eventually you funnel them down to people that actually give you closings, that actually purchase property with you. So that's the funnel. But what has to go into the funnel? You have to have people going into the funnel. If you don't have any people, it doesn't matter how great your funnel is if you have no people going into your funnel. So the pipeline essentially is what's carrying the people in there. And this is how you're initially kind of going around and meeting people to begin with. So that's essentially what your pipeline is. Your pipeline is people you have not yet worked with that are basically in line to work with you. And yes, it kind of sounds ridiculous, but that's the ideal goal. And it's really not ridiculous at all to have people lined up working for you. Not working for you, wanting to work with you. People lined up wanting to work with you in a transaction. Work with your team, work with your brokerage. When you have that credibility and yourself established as a business where people, not only do you provide a great service, but people know that you provide a great service, that's going to be where you have people lined up to work with you. And where you might have to turn people away. How great of a problem is it that you have to turn people away because you can't take on new clients? Where you've already scaled out your team. That's a significant, fantastic problem to have. So that's going to be what we're talking about today, how to manage this pipeline. So we already kind of understand the point blank reason why this is so important, that we have a pipeline and we know how to build it and manage it, because without this pipeline, we're not having people trickling down into our business that are ending up going to closing with us. So the whole purpose of us being in real estate is to serve clients. So to serve clients, maybe about making money as well, but hey, if you can't serve clients, you're not going to make any money. It's okay to be in real estate for the money, but just know you have to serve clients to get that money. As long as you're okay with that, then we're all kosher. So this pipeline, really, this is what's going to be feeding into your business. Now, problems with pipelines, and this is why we see such significant ups and downs in the real estate business. Why agents will maybe have one fantastic, phenomenal month, 1 month, and then the next month they'll be basically kind of like struggling to buy groceries or whatever it may be. And it's not necessarily a problem with the real estate industry in general. It's a problem with the pipeline. Because if you have people lined up to work with you, and you keep that line, you keep a line of people wanting to work with you, then you never have to worry about, am I going to be able to buy groceries? Because you always have more people to work with. You'll be able to more effectively serve your clients as well when you have more people lined up to work with, because you don't have to pressure them to buy. You don't have to pressure them whatsoever, because they're not your only client. If they're your only client, you might kind of get aggressive with them. You're like, come on, you need to buy right now. Come on, don't you like this house? What's wrong with this house? So when you don't have a full pipeline, that causes some frustration. It causes burnout. It causes a whole list of issues. So you got to keep your pipeline full. Now, This pipeline, if it's full and you have people lined up basically to work with you, this is going to help you manage the ups and downs. Because yeah, maybe your business will have a little bit of a drop off, but you're usually able to maintain the momentum and hopefully not have any drop offs at all. Just continue to increase your business month after month after month after quarter after year if you maintain your pipeline. Now, what happens with a lot of agents is they may do some work, they may put a lot of work in establishing their pipeline, but as soon as they get a full pipeline, they change gears, and they go focus on serving clients, and they forget about their pipeline. Well, if you're constantly not restocking this line of people lined up to work with you, if you're constantly not working on getting more people in line to work with you, while still serving your clients, and this is where it's a little bit of a juggling act, whether it's you're going to do this all on your own or once you start to close a couple of properties, this is where you could start to build out a team, maybe hire some assistants that'll help you build up this pipeline, because if you don't have people constantly adding to your line, you're eventually going to run out of people to serve. And you have to basically keep this perpetual machine going of having people coming into your pipeline, continuously coming into your pipeline as you're serving your clients. And this will help you avoid frustration. It'll help you avoid bad months. It'll help you be more financially secure. One of the big worries that people have when they're getting into the real estate business is the worry that you're at the whim of the market. And we've had some significant ups and downs in the market over the years. Especially in the last decade, there's been significant ups and downs where we went from one end of the market all the way to the end of the market. But there's still real estate professionals that survived that crash, that survived that cycle of the up and down. And the reason is they adapt their business to what the market needs, but they still never forget about that pipeline. They never forget about making sure we're lining people up. Maybe people aren't going to be lined up to buy an overpriced home, but people are going to be lined up now to maybe do a short sale on their home or to sell their property quick, or maybe purchase investment property. So you got to understand why people are getting in this line in the first place, and then leverage that to help extend this line, to build the line, to get more and more people waiting to work with you. And it's not people where you have essentially a wait list or something along that lines where people basically are kind of like signing up to work with you or something like that. They could be in your pipeline if you're marketing to them, if they're part of your farm area, if they're part of your email list, if they're part of the people that you call every so often or text every so often. Those people are in your pipeline. They're maybe a little bit further back towards the end of the line, and they don't want to cut in front of any people or anything like that because they're not ready to buy or sell yet. But you got to continuously increase this pipeline. So when you have people that are ready to have a real estate service done, you don't have to worry about getting through them and then having to go out and find another person. You have to be able to do these multiple things at the same time, working with clients as well as continuously stocking your pipeline. Because if you're not continuously stocking your pipeline, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get burnt out, you're going to wonder what it is that you're doing wrong, and it's a very simple problem that your pipeline isn't full. So stick with us. We're going to take a short break, but we're going to talk about some specific ways to help you build up your pipeline. And hey, I want to hear from you guys as well. So we're on the commercial break. If you don't want to sit there and just gaze at the commercials, I know they're not as good to look at as I am. But hey, send in your questions, send in your comments. I want to hear about you. If you think the pipeline's important, I want to hear what it is that maybe you do for your pipeline. So put that in the comments. We're going to be right back after this break. I'm John Corsmo. Don't go anywhere.
When you look back on your real estate career, you'll remember the moment you decided to begin this journey. The moment when you finally decided it was time for change. The moment when you decided it was time to take charge. The moment that changed the direction of your life forever. Now is that moment. Need help preparing for your exam? We've got you covered. Join us for a structured weekend review class where we'll cover the topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams. Class sizes are limited, so reserve your seat now by calling 813-928-0106 or registering online at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. Have you been thinking about starting a real estate career but are struggling to find the time to go back to school? allow us to introduce our revolutionary online course platform. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we have used our years of education experience and student feedback to bring you the finest and best online course. Visit tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's tampaschoolofrealestate.com, or call us at 813-928-0106. That's 813-928-0106 to learn more and register for our online course today. After the show, be sure to visit tampaschoolofrealestate.com. Again, that's tampaschoolofrealestate.com, where you'll find all the information you need to start your career in real estate. Also, be sure to check out our Success Center, where you'll find helpful tips for building a successful real estate career.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you mastermind and grow your real estate business. And who's we? Well, that's the Tampa School of Real Estate. That's who this show is put on by every Friday at 12 noon. And if you're thinking about starting or enhancing your career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. You can also check us out on tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's tampaschoolofrealestate.com. So what we're talking about today basically is your pipeline. Before we went on the first break, we talked about what the pipeline is. It's what's feeding into your sales funnel, essentially. This is really the pipe, the line of people that are waiting to get in your business. And we talked about why it's so important. Well, number one, you need to have some sort of pipeline. Even if it's just a single person, you need that to kind of do some sort of real estate transaction. Whether you're in real estate to make money or to serve people or help people, maybe you're in it for both. That's usually the best when you're in it for both, and usually both of those will be multiplied when you're in it for both. But regardless of the reason why you're in real estate, if you don't have clients to work with, it's basically just there for your own sake, your own fun of going into houses and whatnot, which really can only last so long before you're like, all right, I should kind of help some people out. Just want to give a quick shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I see Matt Fisher that's sending in comments. You know, Matt, I see coming in these shows every single week, and we do these trainings for free. And training isn't something you did, it's something you do. It's something you continuously do. I'm constantly training and developing myself as well. You should as well. That's why we do these every week. So what's up, Matt? Matt's got a question. Who's the best broker and or company to work for as a newbie realtor? So let me just kind of go off on this tangent real quick on here. When you're looking for a realtor, a brokerage basically to hang your license with, because you can't work independently as a sales associate. You've got to have at least 2 years experience under a broker before you can become a broker yourself due to Florida laws, which is fine because the broker essentially serves the purpose to grow, mentor, and develop you as an individual. Now, particularly for when you're getting into real estate, especially if you're a quote-unquote newbie, what I would look for is, and these are usually things I hear because I've done classes before, particularly on how to choose a broker, and I've asked people, what is it do you think is important in real estate, to kind of see where they're coming from, and you're probably thinking this already. Number one, training, and that's probably the most important, because even if you're taking the real estate course with us, you're going to learn a lot of things, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Real estate, there's so much knowledge. Even just the course to get your license is more of just an introduction to real estate than the master course regarding all of real estate, because there's just so much to know, especially when you're in the moment with transactions. So you want to look for a broker that will help you with some sort of training, whether it's and there's 1,000,001 different types of brokers out there with various different structures and programs. So with new agents, you want to have some sort of training, whether that's one-on-one training, whether it's structured training classes. It might depend on you. There could be on-demand type of training. There's lots of ways to do this. It's just the question of what's going to work best for you. That's why there's so many different types of brokers out there, because the question basically is what's best for you. Now, there's really no one-size-fits-all. Now, as a new agent, what I would avoid are brokers that don't offer training, because there's lots of them out there. There's brokerages that are basically set up for more seasoned types of veteran agents who basically just need a broker for the legal purpose, the Florida Real Estate Commission requirement of having a broker, but maybe they don't necessarily need something. So I would look for brokerages that have some sort of training programs. When you apply for your license, you'll get emails and letters and phone calls and all kinds of stuff from brokers that are looking to hire new agents, and they'll usually go into detail on why it is that you should work with them. So that's one of the key things to work for, or to look for when you're looking to find a broker to work for, is the training. And that's the first thing I would recommend, number one, most important as a new agent. Now, speaking of training, what we're here to train on today is the pipeline. So the pipeline, like I said, feeding into your business. Now, ways you can kind of establish and jumpstart this pipeline to start getting some people in there. When you're first starting off in real estate, the biggest place I would look is within your sphere of influence. So within your sphere of influence, people already kind of know who you are, maybe. Hopefully they know who you are. Maybe you're a little bit introverted and they don't quite know you so much, but they at least know who you are. Because if you want to just go out there and you say, oh no, I don't want to just sell to my friends and family, I don't want to work with them, that's one way to go about it. You could just jump right into the general public. But in order to turn a contact into a contract, this is part of the funnel aspect of it here, you need to build a relationship. That's kind of what you're doing through the funnel process, is you're establishing a relationship with them to turn them into a contract where they're either buying a house with you or having you help them sell their house or whatever it may be. So people in the general public, they don't know you. But that's fine, because you could fix that. You could introduce yourself to them. We're going to talk about this in a second, how you can work with the general public. But a lot of times, if you're not willing to put in the time effort, it's going to cost you money effort to really grow that side of it. So we'll talk about that in a second. But again, going back to the sphere of influence, the people that you know, you want them to know that you have your real estate license. And last week we did a segment on starting your career in real estate part-time. So starting your career part-time and not necessarily jumping full-time into it. And this is great for tapping into your sphere of influence, whether it's coworkers, people that you meet at community events, at your church, at maybe your kids' soccer games, or whatever it is that you interact with other people. You don't want to isolate yourself from that and just jump completely into the real estate world. It's great to kind of network and get to know other realtors, but guess what? They're not going to use you. They're not going to buy anything from you. They already have their license. They've got that effort covered. So you want your sphere of influence to know that you're a real estate professional. And you don't have to be like super in your face and say, hey, do you want to sell your house? Well, and just posting like that stuff nonstop online, because social media is a great way to get into this stuff. But tell a story. When you're marketing, whether it's you're marketing to your friends and family or marketing to the general public, you want to tell a story. And you know what's a really terrible story? Hi, I have a real estate license. You could use me. That's like the worst story ever. And so many businesses, so many realtors use that as their story it is that they're marketing. So that's really not a good way to market yourself and market your business. You want to tell a story. So when you're out there showing clients, I don't know, maybe do a quick little post or something like that. Maybe your clients don't want to be in it. Maybe they do want to be in it. Maybe they want to get their 5 minutes of fame on your social media channel. But say, hey, look, check out this house that I'm showing today. Isn't this fantastic? And people will like, oh, look at this house. Oh, that's right. Yeah, what's he doing here? Oh, that's right. He's got his real estate license. So that's a great way to tell your story. The power of social media is so essential in today's market. Not really essential, because you could do it without it, but you're really going to be leaving yourself behind. So we got a question coming in from, all right, Baby Lynn, I guess, Musini Marindag. That's true, people buying from people they want. Yeah. So it not really a question, but, and I'm seeing a couple things. See, Brando on here, building relationship. Yeah, so the relationship, turning a contact into a contract, that's where you're basically starting to understand who it is that you're working with, and you're building a relationship with them. So going back to the sphere of influence type of thing, I mean, yeah, you don't be walking around at your kids' soccer games just handing out business cards to random people without striking up any sort of conversation. No, strike up the conversation first. Because if you just give them a bit, if you walk up to somebody and say, here's my card, that's effectively what you're doing if you're posting online saying, hey, I have a real estate license. So you want to strike up some sort of conversation with them. Now, when you're in person, it's a little bit different, but maybe striking up some sort of conversation with them. And as you're having the conversation with them, maybe you start talking about some real estate stuff. Maybe you ask them, oh, where they live. Oh, how long have you lived there? Do you like that neighborhood? Just things that maybe you'd talk about with a normal person. And then you kind of maybe bring up the fact that you have your real estate license. Maybe somewhere along along the lines. Maybe it's right before you end the conversation or whatever, but definitely give them the business card at that point. But you don't want to just kind of be passing out business cards, because people probably will just kind of throw them on the floor. You got to build something up to that and kind of work on your communication skills with that as well. So that's one way, your sphere of influence, and that's a great way to kind of get your pipeline going to begin with. And remember, this is that's something you could start off to do. Now, eventually, you'll probably exhaust all your friends and family, but National Association of Realtors says, and I've said this statistic so many times, every 5 to 7 years, people are going to be moving, buying and selling a property. So the average homeowner sells their property and buys a new one every 5 to 7 years. So it's going to take you 5 years, essentially, to exhaust 5 to 7 years to exhaust all of your sphere of influence, but guess what? They're probably going to buy again, and then another 5 to 7 years, buy again. So a very long-term type of strategy with that there, but you never want to neglect that friends and family. And hey, you don't have to actively be spending time directly just kind of pushing out to them. If you're just telling your story online and they're following you on social media or whatever it may be, that's a great way to continue to market to them. Now let's change gears. Let's say you want to start tapping into the general public. So rather than just marketing to your friends and family, you want to start tapping into the general public for your pipeline, and you want to basically kind of start building out this pipeline from the general public. And now you have a lot more potential from the general public, because your sphere of influence is only so big. You don't know everybody on planet Earth. There's like 7 billion people on planet Earth. There's a couple million people in the Tampa Bay area already, so you probably don't know a couple million people, and I guarantee you a couple million people don't know you, unless we've got some celebrities on here watching, which I haven't seen anybody pop up that's a celebrity yet, but if you are, give us a shout out. Anyways, so when we're trying to tap into the general public, to add them into our pipeline, to basically get them to eventually want to work with us. So this goes back, we got to really kind of reverse engineer this all the way back to the beginning. So eventually we want them to buy or sell a house with us. Now, how do we get them to that point? Well, first of all, we have to figure out who it is that we're marketing to. Are we advertising to potential buyers, or are we marketing to potential sellers? Which one are we marketing to, buyers or sellers? And it depends. This is definitely questions you want to ask when you're trying to come up with a strategy for your business. If you're advertising, let's say, to renters, maybe you're trying to do something to show renters the benefits of home ownership. Now you're advertising to potential buyers, first-time home buyers, where you're maybe talking about first-time home buyer programs. You want to understand what it is, what type of information it is that they need. Maybe you're advertising to people that already own a home. Now you're looking at basically trying to convey information about maybe potential heirs, because essentially they may be a buyer as well. There's a couple ways you can go about it. Basically, you want to figure out what information it is that they need and kind of build your story around it. If you're marketing to home sellers, people that already own a home and are looking to potentially sell their home, that's where maybe you need to kind of maybe talk a little bit more about your skills, or maybe talk a little bit more about what you have going on currently. Tell your story a little bit more about what you're doing. But on the buyer side, tell your story about maybe how you're helping out first-time home buyers. You could also be working with investors, or let's talk about potential investors. So maybe these homeowners don't want to buy another home, but maybe they have a lot of equity in their home, and that equity they have in their home, they can maybe refinance, do a home equity loan where they take that equity out, and now they have cash that really they could do whatever it is that they want with, but maybe they want to reinvest that into real estate. Maybe they want to become a real estate investor themselves, and there's significant benefits to investing in real estate. So you could potentially, maybe they're not looking to sell, maybe they're kind of, they planted in their spot and they love it there, they wouldn't move for the rest of their life, but especially in that situation, they'll probably build up a lot of equity in their property, so they might want to kind of get into investing. And that new type of investor, first-time investor, they need a specific set of information. Or maybe you're marketing to people that are already investors, that maybe you're looking up records of people that have bought properties cash. They're most likely to be an investor, so you're kind of finding their information and maybe mailing to them, or somehow reaching out to them. Maybe you're going to investor seminars. So first and foremost, really, this is all about understanding your audience. And you could have different audience. You could have different segments of your audience, and these different segments you're going to market to in a different way, especially when you start doing digital marketing like Facebook or anything like that. It gets really powerful of how you could kind of segment your audience and speak your specific message to this segment of your audience that most applies to them. So that's really essential, is understanding who it is that you're talking to. Now, what I would also do when you're going through all this stuff is really kind of maybe talk to some other people about, hey, if you were this type of person, what would you be looking for? They kind of double check your assumptions, because you might already have a really good idea of this type of person, but you might get a good perspective from some other types of people. Or maybe you start working with some of these people and you kind of ask them some questions that give you some motivations behind them. Maybe kind of do a couple like little survey questions after you work with a first-time home buyer or somebody that just sold their home, and ask them, hey, what was it that kind of really made you choose me as opposed to all the other realtors out there? What was it that made you want to buy the home? Or what was it that made you want to sell your home? So you definitely want to try to find out this information, and what better people to find out this information for than people that were willing to do business with you. Those people are the ones where you were spot on, you got it, you hit it right on the head, you did everything you needed to do to get somebody to want to do business with you. Now the question is, how do you replicate that? How do you build up this business so you can do that over and over again, but also don't neglect the questions of, hey, how was it that you heard about me? When was it that you first remember hearing about me? I know I've sent you a lot of mailers, you've seen me a lot online, and maybe try to identify that so you can kind of keep managing that aspect of filling up your pipeline constantly as well, because you got to keep that pipeline full. So when we come back after this next break, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you could do to build your pipeline, how you can market your personal brand effectively. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, and hey, send us in some comments during the commercials.
When you look back on your real estate career, you'll remember the moment you decided to begin this journey. The moment when you finally decided it was time for change. The moment when you decided it was time to take charge. The moment that changed the direction of your life forever. Now is that moment. Need help preparing for your exam? We've got you covered. Join us for a structured weekend review class where we'll cover the topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams. Class sizes are limited, so reserve your seat now by calling 813-928-0106 or registering online at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. Have you been thinking about starting a real estate career, but are struggling to find the time to go back to school? Allow us to introduce our revolutionary online course platform. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we have used our years of education experience and student feedback to bring you the finest and best online course. Visit tampaschoolofrealestate.com, that's tampaschoolofrealestate.com, or call us at 813-928-0106, that's 813-928-0106 to learn more and register for our online course today. After the show, be sure to visit tampaschoolofrealestate.com. Again, that's tampaschoolofrealestate.com, where you'll find all the information you need to start your career in real estate. Also, be sure to check out our Success Center, where you'll find helpful tips for building a successful real estate career.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. If you're thinking about starting or enhancing your real estate career, call us at 813-928-0106. That's 813-928-0106. Or visit us online at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's tampaschoolofrealestate.com. 12 noon every Friday, we come to you to help you mastermind to grow your real estate business. And hey, if you're not in real estate, but you still have a business, or maybe you're in sales, or whatever it may be, a lot of the stuff we talk about on these Fridays can help your business as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you shared the stream, if you commented, if you liked on this, definitely appreciate that. But let's jump right back into talking about the pipeline. So, and if you guys are just tuning in, remember you could go find this entire recording here on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever it is that you're watching it, on our Success Center, tampaschoolofrealestate.com/success, because you could rewatch this forever, as many times as you want, because we've got a lot of stuff you can take away from this here. So we talked about what the pipeline is and why it's essential to your business. You need to have a pipeline. It's essential to your business because this will help you avoid the ups and downs. It'll help you maintain momentum, and you never want to forget about that pipeline. You forget about your pipeline, that's going to be where your business starts to kind of go down. But the problem is you really don't notice it starting to go down until maybe a month later, 2 months later. If you kind of skimp on doing your pipeline here, you won't feel that until a month, 2, 3 months later. So definitely try to stay on top of your pipeline at all times. Keep building that pipeline. Keep getting people in line to work with you. We talked about how you could tap into your sphere of influence when you're first starting in real estate. So when you're first starting your career in real estate, your sphere of influence is a huge place to go to, but this isn't something you want to neglect once you have an established business. You want your friends and family to know, because your friends and family shouldn't use anybody except for you. Because number one, you should be the best there is out there, and if you are the best that there is, then it'd be a disservice if you didn't help them out. So definitely make sure your friends and family know your story, that know that you're in real estate and what you do for your clients and how great it is that you are, because then whenever your friends and family need your real estate services, whether it's to buy, to sell, to rent, whatever it is, if they want to start getting into investments, they could talk to you. And maybe even if you're not the person to help them, maybe they're moving to another part of Florida, you still want them to come to you because you could refer them to somebody that's a trustworthy, good agent. You're probably a better judge of whether or not somebody is a good agent. And then you could refer them to them. And what's great about that is you could also get a referral fee in that case as well. So you definitely never want to neglect your sphere of influence. But that's not going to be the only place. If you're just going to rely on your sphere of influence, that's fine if maybe you just want to be in real estate part-time. But if you really want to go into this full-time, go all in, take it to the next level, that's where you need to get out there to the general public. And you could kind of leverage some referrals and whatnot from the your sphere of influence. And that's, again, why you never want to neglect your sphere of influence, because not only for them and them needing your real estate services, but also referrals as well. But a lot of agents just go off of referrals and never really get into the actual talking to the general public. So we talked about understanding your audience. So let's use a scenario, and it's a scenario that I like to use a lot, especially if you're a new agent. We'll talk about some ways, because, I mean, the advertising, you basically spend money on the advertising and make sure you're advertising correctly. It's really a lot more in depth to that, but I know a lot of you guys are brand new to the real estate industry. So one of the things that I recommend every time to anybody asking what should I do to get clients, and that's open houses. Open houses are great for building your client base. Now, less than 1% of houses sell as a result of an open house. So why am I telling you to do open houses? Well, you're going to get people coming into the house, whether it's nosy neighbors, people that are just trying to find something to do on a Saturday, people that want to come take your free food. But these people, regardless of their motivations for coming there in the first place, you now have basically a captive audience or semi-captive audience to kind of talk to them about real estate, talk to them about what they're doing. Oh yeah, you're just the neighbor, you want to check out what's going on in the neighborhood. Oh yeah, it's a good house. Yeah, how's your house compared to this? Oh yeah, have you seen the one down the street? Oh no, you haven't. Well, we could go check that out someday. And you kind of start striking up the conversation with them there. But essentially, this person's now in your pipeline. And this is kind of the mind shift that you need to kind of take into account. Your pipeline isn't the people that are calling you up. It's not people that are calling you and texting you and sending you emails and sending you leads saying, I want to work with you. When they're doing that, they're not in your pipeline. They're now in your funnel. But the pipeline, like I said, that feeds into your funnel. So in order to stock up the pipeline, to keep people in line to work with you, that's where you're focusing more on the long-term strategy. It's not people wanting to work with you now. And that's why there's a lag between neglecting your pipeline activities and seeing that hit to your business. Because if you neglect your pipeline activities, you're going to see a hit in your business, but it's not going to be till sometime later, maybe a month, maybe a couple weeks later. It's going to be sometime later. It doesn't happen instantly. So you don't want to neglect your pipeline in any way, basically. So what you need to focus on is making sure that you're establishing these relationships with people, with your sellers, with your potential buyers. Again, potential is the key word, because if they're calling up to work with you now, they're not in your pipeline, they're now in your funnel, they're ready to go. Don't screw it up because they want to do business with you. That's what happens when they're reaching out to you. But to make that happen, you need to be reaching out to people. So a great place to meet people is through open houses. Another great activity that you could do that doesn't necessarily involve really as much money, it's another kind of sweat equity type of strategy to start out, is door knocking. And I know it sounds terrible, especially when we actually have a pretty cool weekend here in Tampa today. I'm pretty sure the rest of the country is pretty cold today. Usually we're kind of just the tail end of whatever's going on there. But today would be a great day to get out there and go knock on some doors to start talking to people. Tomorrow would be a great day as well. Now, I get the question, okay, John, yeah, I'll go door knocking, but what should I do? What should I say to these people? Do I just knock on it and give them my card and then run away? No, you have some sort of reason that you're going there. Hey, my name is John Charisma. I'm the specialist in the area here. I'm just coming out here talking to home buyers, just wanted to make sure that they knew about the changes that have happened in the market and how that affected their value. And maybe you partner up or team up, I should say. And if you took our courses, you'll know why we say team up instead of partner up. Team up with a lender that specialize maybe in refinancing or something like that. Maybe you're going door knocking together. It's always good if you're going door knocking if you have somebody there to handle the rejection, because yes, you will get some rejection with this, but essentially this is one way to kind of meet new people. You could do this with clubs as well, and again, your sphere of influence type of stuff, but these are great sweat equity strategies that will definitely help you get a better feel of what people are looking for. It'll help you grow your pipeline, and when you could expand this pipeline, that's going to help pour people into your funnel. And it's a lot to manage when we talk about it here. And if you don't know what it is that you're doing, if you don't have this idea in mind of what to do to get somebody in a pipeline, to get somebody in a funnel, if you don't know kind of how to structure your business and everything like that, that's going to be where there's a problem. So you definitely got to understand the game plan of what actions it is that you need to do that correspond with results. What actions lead to results? Because if you can identify what actions are going to lead to your results, you just have to replicate these actions again and again and again and again and again and again and over, and that's going to yield more and more results, and maybe start to multiply yourself and build out your team and so on and so forth. There's all kinds of ways to scale out your business like this. Now, let's go ahead and talk now about how we could pay for some of this advertising, how we could kind of get some sort of paid reach into the market. And this is definitely a transition that you make. When you're starting out new in real estate, even if you have money to invest in marketing yourself, I would hold off on that. The reason being is because that money will burn out a lot quicker than you imagine. If you advertise in the wrong way, if you market in the wrong way, or you neglect the leads that you're paying for, and this is why it's like I said, when you're new, advertising, you can do it, but it's probably not going to be the best use of your money until you understand what steps it is that you have to go with. And when you're paying for these leads, you're paying for these impressions with people, that's serious. And you do something that messes up that relationship, you don't follow up with them, which is usually the biggest basically the biggest error that you can make in this relationship. When you do something like that, you're basically throwing your money away. So it's great to advertise. I'm a huge proponent of advertising. I have a degree in marketing, so I'm really big on marketing. But this is definitely a transition you need to make for down the road. Once you're ready, once you know that you could build a pipeline, that you could keep people in your database, that you could continuously build up your base, and you know that once they're ready to work with you, you could provide them with phenomenal service. So not only do you properly serve your client, but they're willing to go tell all their friends and family about you. That's where you're like, okay, you've got the machine built. Now you can put money into the machine to generate that pipeline for you. But definitely it's a transition it is that you're going to make eventually. The question of how soon, because you might get this stuff knocked out right away, know what you're doing, know what to do, what to say and do, and how the whole process works. And once you've got that down to a science and you're willing to follow up with every single step and go through with every single step, that's when you're ready to start advertising in your business. And we could talk about a lot of different ways. Farming is a huge way. Now, this isn't, again, one of the only ways to get your business. You should have multiple ways to add to your pipeline, but farming is one way that's great. And you could have a physical farm area where you're actually mailing out to people, where maybe you're door knocking, maybe you're holding houses, things like open houses. Or you could have a digital farm area, which could be still a geographic area that you're marketing to, but rather than sending letters or sending letters alone, really it should be a hybrid print and digital type of marketing to this farm area, where you're sending them postcards, you're sending them letters. Again, you don't want to expect to get business right away with this. This is a longer term type of strategy, which is, again, going back to some of this stuff here, why if especially when you're first starting out, why I'm saying, hey, you should maybe get into this part-time, because unless you're investing tons of money right now and you know exactly what you need to do in the sales process, maybe you come from a sales background, and if you do, you might already understand the sales process. You just might have to kind of hone in on some of the real estate specific stuff here, and you might be ready to go 100% ready to get your business cranking. Now, let's say we've established this area that we want to market to. Facebook, they have a lot of great features for advertising. They even have demographics that are so specific as people likely to move. How great is that for a real estate professional to be able to know which people in a certain geographic area are likely to move, and then not only know who they are, but be able to advertise directly to them and only advertise through these people who are quote unquote likely to move. So they have that as an attribute in the Facebook advertising as well, which is huge. That's definitely something I would use to kind of grow your client base. But now when you advertise with them, and this is, like I said, understanding what kind of goes along with this and maintaining your client base, once you advertise to them, you have to continue to advertise to them over and over and over to build that recognition. And once they reach out to you, that's kind of more what we're talking about, where they're in your funnel, maybe rather than the pipeline, but maybe they're a little bit further off, so maybe they're still in your pipeline rather than in your funnel. So what you need to do is have some sort of follow-up strategy, some sort of strategy to stay in touch with them, whether that's emailing them or calling them every so often or sending them a text message so often or whatever it is that you do. Liking their pictures on Facebook will just be one way to, because everybody posts something online, they'll go check who liked their stuff, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this person liked it, oh, okay, cool, and they'll see that, and they'll remember who you are. They'll think of you more as a person. And again, to get to the contract, you need the R from contact to contract. There's just the R, that's the only difference. You just need to emphasize that relationship. You build a relationship with somebody, they're going to want to have a contract with you because they trust you, they know they trust you, and it would be silly of them to use anybody else because they could use another realtor, but would they trust them? Probably not. So it's all about establishing trust with your clients and then over-delivering on this trust. Because if they trust you, don't let their expectations down. That's going to be terrible for your referral business. And that's what we're going to talk about after this last break here. We're going to talk about the referral side of these things in here and how to make sure that your clients, the people that have gone through your entire pipeline, your entire funnel, that they're coming back out. And not only are they going to loop back around to your pipeline, but they're also bringing their friends and family with them when they loop back around to the pipeline. So, hey, let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments. If you got questions on this, put it in the comments. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back after this short break.
When you look back on your real estate career, you'll remember the moment you decided to begin this journey. The moment when you finally decided it was time for change. The moment when you decided it was time to take charge. The moment that changed the direction of your life forever. Now is that moment. Need help preparing for your exam? We've got you covered. Join us for a structured weekend review class where we'll cover the topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams. Class sizes are limited, so reserve your seat now by calling 813-928-0106 or registering online at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. Have you been thinking about starting a real estate career but are struggling to find the time to go back to school? Allow us to introduce our revolutionary online course platform. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we have used our years of education experience and student feedback to bring you the finest and best online course. Visit tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's tampaschoolofrealestate.com, or call us at 813-928-0106. That's 813-928-0106 to learn more and register for our online course today. After the show, be sure to visit tampaschoolofrealestate.com. Again, that's tampaschoolofrealestate.com, where you'll find all the information you need to start your career in real estate. Also, be sure to check out our Success Center, where you'll find helpful tips for building a successful real estate career.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to the final segment of this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. If you're thinking about starting or enhancing your real estate career, give us a call, 813-928-0106. Phone number's right in the description. Website's right in the description, tampaschoolofrealestate.com. You should be able to click on either one of those. But we do the show every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time to help you grow, develop, mastermind in your real estate business. Even when you get your real estate license, that pre-licensing course is just the introductory course. You learn a lot about real estate, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot to know to really build a successful business and jumpstart a great career in real estate. And one of the things that's essential to that's why we're talking about it today, is the pipeline. I know a bunch of you guys have been commenting in, asking questions on this stuff, and thank you guys for commenting. Thanks for liking, thanks for sharing, thanks for subscribing to all this stuff here. We do these episodes every week, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube or subscribe on our Success Center so you can stay up to date with these tools, tips, and tricks to help you grow your real estate business. So the pipeline aspect of this, again, we got to feed people into our pipeline to get into our business. And now what we need to talk about now is making a referral machine, basically. Having a referral machine where our past clients are so happy with us that they're willing to tell their friends and family and give them a recommendation. And people don't do that lightly. Who do they like better, their friends or you? You want to get them to like you better. If they like you better, they'll have no problem telling their friends and family if they like you better than their friends and family. So ultimately, that's what you're trying to establish, is that likability and that level of professionalism that says, wow, this person is fantastic. I've never had better service from anybody else. Because the service aspect of this, not only is this going to help you get repeat business, so these past clients are going to loop back around and get in your pipeline again for when they're ready to buy and sell 5-7 years from now, but also talking to their friends and family. But let's talk about where this could go wrong, because if it were this easy, everyone would do it, and everyone would just give everyone a great experience going through the real estate transaction. All of a sudden they'd be rolling in the deep, but that's not the case. It's not just to give them a great service, but remember that they're going to forget about you. How many people that you have known in the past that maybe they're not somebody you think of right away? Or maybe you've known somebody that was a plumber or an electrician or somebody that did some sort of service for you, maybe a mortgage lender, maybe a past realtor, or somebody that you've worked with before, but you don't necessarily remember what their name even is. And that's because they might have gave you a great service, in the same way you may give your clients a great service, but if they forget about who you are, it's all for nothing. So how do you keep them from forgetting about who you are? Well, you continue to market to them. You continue to market to them, and again, you want to use marketing that they're going to be okay with receiving. So you're entertaining them basically through your marketing. You're telling your story, and they're going to be okay with your marketing if you're telling a story. If you're just kind of blatantly in their face saying buy, 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 sell, 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 that type of thing, they're going to be like, oh my God, I can't deal with this person. But if you're telling a great story, if you're talking about the real estate industry and you're the person that they think about whenever they think about anything in real estate, whether it's they have questions or they don't understand something, or they're just talking about, hey, how much did our friend down the street buy their house for? Oh, well, let me tell you what they bought their house for. And that's a great resource. Like, hey, when you're a nosy neighbor, come talk to me because I could give you the details. And that's where they'll want to keep you. They'll want to keep you in mind so when they can talk to people. But you got to continue to market. So there's a lot of juggling going on here. And this is why the team aspect today has become so prevalent, because there's a lot to keep up with. So you have the service of your client, which that's an essential. You need to be able to serve your client. You need to be able to serve them well if you ever want to get repeat business and referrals. But you also, at the same time as serving your clients, need to be continuously stocking your pipeline, and you also need to be continuously reaching out to your past clients so they remember who you are. So not only will they be repeat business, but you'll also get referrals from them again and again and again and again. So to recap all this stuff here, we talked about the pipeline. So the pipeline is basically the line of people waiting to work with you. Now, it's maybe not they're waiting on your ability, and that's a big misconception. That's a huge misconception with the pipeline aspect. It's not people waiting to work with you. If you've got people lined up that want you to show them houses and you don't have enough hours in the day to show them all houses, that's where you need to start leveraging some sort of team or team up with just another agent and make yourself a mini team or whatever it is that you're going to do, but have something where you could serve those clients effectively. And that doesn't happen automatically. They're going to come if you're really managing the pipeline aspect of this here. But the pipeline, these aren't people necessarily waiting for your time and waiting for you to be available. They're waiting on them to be ready. So the people waiting in this line, in this pipeline essentially, like I said, they're not waiting for you, because if they're waiting for you, they're just going to go find another. There's tons of realtors out there, and they don't need to wait for you unless you've done such a phenomenal job selling yourself and selling your services that they're willing to wait, but that's probably not going to happen. And even then, they're usually only willing to wait so long before they're ready to buy or sell their house. But when they're in this pipeline, they're waiting on themselves. They're not waiting for you to be available. They're waiting for themselves to be ready to purchase real estate, to sell their house, to invest in real estate, to do whatever it is that the service you're going to provide to them. And this applies to any sort of business. The pipeline represents people you're yet to do business with that want to do business with you, but they're not ready to do business with you. That's when they're in your pipeline. And guess what happens if you forget about them, if you neglect the people in your pipeline? They go, they'll leave. Just like your past clients. I mean, really, you have this pipeline. It goes through the funnel and comes out with another pipeline, basically, of your past clients. They're going to loop back around to the beginning here. But either one of them, they'll fall off. You'll always have the ability to serve your clients. So this funnel aspect of when you're working with somebody, getting them from a contact all the way to a contract, taking them to appointments through the closing process and so on and so forth, you'll always have that ability to do that. But having the people in your pipeline, that's something you need to constantly pay attention to and continuously stock the pipeline. So that's all I've got for you guys today. If you do have more questions that we didn't get to in the show, make sure you send those in, whether you send it on the chat, email us in at info@tampa-school.com. Give us a call. We could help you out over the phone as well. If you need help passing your state exam, if you need help jumpstarting your real estate career, we've got stuff for you. Definitely reach out to us. We want to help you guys. That's what keeps us in business, is helping our students succeed. So reach out to us. Make sure you tune in next week, State of Real Estate, 12 noon every Friday. Make sure you tune in on Wednesdays at 12 noon where we do Ask the Instructor. And may or may not be this Monday, probably going to be this Monday, we're actually going to start doing book reviews. One of the great ways I do to grow, develop, and train myself is through reading. And Audible as well, because I don't always have time to actually read a physical book. But there's so many books that I devour and then redevour and go through again and again and again. So I've been looking for a way to share those with you guys. We're going to be doing that. So stick around for that. You'll get more details. Follow the Facebook page. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe on there. You'll get notifications for all this stuff. But other than that, I will see you guys next Friday for another episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate, and thank you for tuning in.